Welcome back to Hot Takes, everybody. Look who it is. It's me and a freshly tattooed Patrick Van Straten. Show him the tattoo.
Revealing.
No, look.
Stop it.
You know, freshly tattooed though.
Hit up my Patreon for that.
The ink is still wet.
Yeah,
it's not. It's dry.
Send me money on Twitter. Get on my SoundCloud.
Yeah. Let's move on to the first hot take then. This one was sent in by Mikey Mirto 21. He says, Allegri is an overrated manager, always fails to perform on the big stage, and even with Ronaldo, has won one less trophy than last season. Pato.
What? Has he failed to perform on the big stage? He's got to 2 Champions League finals. I remember the time they beat Barcelona 3-0 over 2 legs. Look, it seems weird to say he's not good because he was better last season. Like, he's got Ronaldo. That seems like an argument that Ronaldo's not good to me. Like, that Ronaldo has destroyed the balance of their team as opposed to that Allegri is somehow poor. Like, Pep Guardiola hasn't done as well points-wise as he did last season, but I would say he's still a good manager. So it seems weird to me to compare him to last season as a way of criticising him. I do think the defence has got worse. I think it'll be interesting to see how he rebuilds that backline with all those like legends of Juve ageing out. But Allegri is clearly a great manager. He'd be really good. He'd be good anyway.
I couldn't agree more. I don't think he's overrated in any circumstance because I actually don't think he's even involved in the I never hear his name involved in the conversation alongside Pep Guardiola as the world's best.
Does anyone ever say he's one of the 3 best coaches in the world?
I don't think they do. And that is the reason he's not overrated, because he just consistently wins league titles but is still never in that conversation. Like Pato said, he does perform in big games. Just because you don't win a Champions League final doesn't mean he doesn't perform in big games. That's like saying Pep Guardiola's overrated because he's not got to a Champions League final since 2011.
And also, this just seems like really over the top because this is because they went out of the Champions League to Ajax. What if Ajax beat Spurs, go into the final and beat Liverpool or Barcelona and win the Champions League? Like, at that point, he's gone out to a side which showed they were actually amazing. So at that point, do we just accept that maybe it was fair enough that they went out to the better side as opposed to they underperformed because we think of Ajax as a smaller club than Juve? I don't really get it.
I think he's won something like 4 consecutive domestic doubles, could have been a 5th this season. First manager ever to do that in Serie A history. Are we really calling a manager who isn't in the conversation for the top 3 managers in the world overrated because he hasn't won a 5th domestic double? Come on. Before we move on to our second spicy little hot take, which involves Liverpool, let's throw it down to the basement where another member of the Football Daily team has a spicy opinion of their own.
This is where you go. This is where you go when they don't like you. All right, well, it's time for my hot take. And I've got a juicy one. I don't think the new handball rule is any good. Look, I understand we've had a bit of a commotion recently. What is a handball? If your hand is in your body, is it a handball? What's ball to hand? So to make it simple, they've just said if it hits your hand, it's going to be a handball. No more ball to hand. And you know what I say? That's f***ing rubbish. This makes it so much harder to defend. You've got to be doing this all the time practically. And when you go for a slide tackle, how are you meant to do it? You can't go like that. It doesn't work. When you go for a slide tackle, your arms go up. And that's what I think the best rule about was ball to hand, because sometimes it was accidental. But I do understand why they've done this, to bring in consistency. However, I think getting rid of the rule ball to hand is an issue. But what do you guys think of my hot take? Am I being an idiot? Am I being completely right? Will I ever leave this room/hellhole? Let us know in the comments below. It smells funny in here, man. Did Kieran? Oh God.
Don't know what I'm doing, but it's disrespectful because I'm doing it. Thanks very much, whoever did that. We don't know yet, so could literally be anyone, anybody that is free. The next one was sent in by Matty. He says, Liverpool season...
You're holding that very close to your face. Is there an eyesight issue?
Have you seen how small the text is?
You can make it bigger, can't you?
I can, but then it goes off screen.
Okay,
maybe if I go sideways, it will work. Way. Now I can hold it out here.
Nice.
Liverpool season will be a failure if they don't win the Champions League or the Premier League. That was sent in by Matty.
I'm quite sympathetic to this view. I'm quite sympathetic to this view. Look, if it were just a normal season, I think that I wouldn't be of this opinion. But basically, last year they were like, while we didn't finish second, we know we are the second best side in the Premier League. We are going to spend a lot of money to make sure that we win a trophy next season.
Yeah.
And while they're still on for the Champions League and the league, actually, they could win either or both. If they don't win anything, it does feel like a failure. Like they've spent over 60 mil on Alisson, on Naby Keita, 75 mil on Van Dijk, another 15, not a lot, but still money, on Shaqiri. And at the end of it, they don't even have an FA Cup to their names. Like that
35 on Fabinho.
35 on Fabinho. Yeah, that does seem like a failure to me. Like the money they spent was to take them from being the second best side in the league, a side that could get to the last stage of the Champions League and can compete for the title, to a side that will win the title and will win the Champions League. And they haven't even got a League Cup. So, I mean, if they don't win anything, I know it's difficult to say, like, you know, an odd bounce of the ball can make a season a success or failure, but fundamentally, while we talk about progress, Liverpool have stopped being a side in progress, and they are now kind of the finished article, and flags fly forever, right? Like, nobody's going to care that you were like, well, you know, we were a really good side that season. In fact, we got over 90 points. That's amazing. But you're also going to remember that you didn't win the title because Man City got one more point than you.
Oh, I don't know what to think.
It's difficult.
I actually really struggle to hold an opinion on this topic. Personally, I don't think it'll be a failure. I think maybe they'll be disappointed with it, but they're still massively under the spend of Manchester City in terms of what they've outlaid to get to this position. So I wouldn't necessarily classify it as a failure.
But how's that fun for the fans? The fans don't get to be like, oh, well, you know, if you look at our points per pound spend, then we're actually way better off than Man City. Man City fans are going to go, we don't give like we've got the trophy.
That is true. And it is all about ifs, buts and maybes with this hot take, because they might end up winning a European Cup and a Premier League title, which would be outrageous. So it's pretty hard to do like a Mystic Meg act and give an opinion on a hot take that hasn't happened yet. But I think I wouldn't call it a failure, man. I think the progression is still happening. I don't necessarily agree that they're the finished article.
Okay.
I think there's still progression for them to do. I think Van Dijk probably still needs a long-term central defensive partner. I know Joe Gomez was excellent.
But that's
for the first
one
few
position.
months.
That's basically one position left.
It is basically one position, but equally, I think there are potential midfield upgrades to be had.
Sure, but I mean, like, they've got a good core of players, and everyone keeps saying Fabinho's been amazing. Everyone keeps saying, including you, that Wijnaldum's been amazing.
He has.
If all these guys have been so great, then why are they not as dominant as we would have hoped?
Because because City are freaks.
I don't know though. Yeah, but in a way, like, they also have got a bit lucky to get here. Don't get me wrong, Liverpool are very, very good, but they've conceded fewer goals than you'd expect them to, given the chances that they've given up, because Alisson's had an amazing season. So their defence might not get as lucky next season. They've also managed to keep fitness for Mane and Salah in particular, and mostly for Firmino. Like, if one of those guys gets like a season-ending injury, which happens to a lot of the other big sides, think about De Bruyne, Silva, and Fernandinho sitting out big stretches of this year.
Yeah.
If one of those guys gets injured next year, then I don't think they get anywhere near this level. So they've also, while you could say, oh, they're unlucky that they're playing at the same time as like maybe the greatest side in Premier League history, they're also lucky in the sense that they haven't had like an injury that just derailed their whole campaign, like Arsenal, Man United, Chelsea have all had over the last, 5 to 10 years.
That is true, but they can only kind of focus on themselves. And if they do take 98 points from this season, which is totally feasible and probably will happen, I just don't think you can classify a 98-point season as a failure. It would be so harsh.
Unless your definition of success is winning the title. If your definition of success is winning the title or Champions League and you don't, then no one's going to say, but we got this amount of point. Well, they are going to say that.
This is the Pochettino dilemma.
I agree. I'm so sympathetic to Liverpool doing it.
This is the Pochettino dilemma, because people always say, do you have to be judged on trophies? And that is effectively what the fans will always judge you on. But the progression has been insane. The amount of points is insane.
Yeah,
the job Klopp has done is insane. So to say that it's been a failure, I personally think is a little bit harsh. Pato thinks could be warranted. What do you guys think though? If they don't win a trophy this season, failure or not a failure? Vote in the poll up there. Was it a good poll? Probably not. Okay, it's non-football hot take time. A really catchy title.
Go on.
This was sent in by Tamish Bahal. Fried chicken is the most overrated chicken. Grilled chicken is...
Nice.
The OK sign that divers use underwater to signify
Is that the
that
wrong
they
way
aren't
around?
dying.
Is it like that?
Whatever.
No, you're an idiot. Fried chicken is the best chicken. Fried chicken is amazing. Grilled chicken is pretty good. I have a lot of time for grilled chicken, but whip that skin off, mate. Like, because it's always a bit flaccid. It's never as good as you want it to be when you've grilled it. I need that fried. Whereas fried chicken, you get spicing, you get different kind of textures. You get the crunch, you get the moistness inside.
Really likes his fried chicken, this boy. I'm going to throw a real cat amongst the pigeons.
This is going to be something so rogue. Go on.
Roast chicken.
Oh, roast chicken is good.
Roast chicken.
Lemon, garlic,
Numero
thyme.
uno.
Oh, that is
Oh,
really
a little bit of
good.
rosemary in there. Oh, yeah, I'm saying roast chicken is the best form of chicken.
You know what's disgusting?
That's a proper Britain for British answer.
Roasted
but
meat.
roast chicken.
Roasted meat's basically the one thing that British cooks do really well.
Yeah.
But chicken sausage. Chicken sausage is disgusting. Chicken, delicious, but put it in a sausage form and it's weird.
It is.
And so is beef sausage.
Yeah.
Whack.
What about barbecue chicken?
Is that not grilled? It depends how we're defining
Yeah,
grilled.
I suppose we'll include that in grilled. I would go roast, fried, grilled.
Fried, roast, grilled.
Ooh, either way to me.
You're wrong.
You're wrong. Was that his name? Forgot it. So that's it for this episode of Hot Takes. If you've got any spicy opinions, bang them in the comments below right now. Pato, what should people do next?
Head over to EFD and check out UCL Review. Obviously, a really exciting week in the Champions League. And of course, Stat Wars The League is still going on, so make sure that you're watching that as well. Like and subscribe while you're here. Thanks. And also vote for Joe, Best Influencer, FBA.
Vote's closed, mate.
You know what?
Vote's
The
closed.
thought counts. Tell him on Twitter he's the best influencer.
Does it?
You're the best influencer, mate.
Thanks, mate.